There's something about the whole Olympics thing that people aren't talking about. The very controversial Olympics 2024 opening ceremonies have caused quite a stir, as you know. But there's something that has really concerned me that I haven't seen folks talking about. I have heard various opinions from various perspectives about this, from the far left, the far right, Islamic, fundamentalist Christian, atheist, secularist, African. It's been interesting. I will want to lay aside, I'll get to the point, but I want to lay aside the obvious fact that people are divided about what this clip of this longer opening ceremony represented. I think that it obviously had several layers of aesthetic choices into it. Kitsch, in the proper sense of the word. Drag, obviously. Bacchus or Dionysius. I don't see anybody denying this. And I do maintain that it probably had some nod to Da Vinci in an inappropriate sense. However, even if you don't agree with that, let's set that aside. I've noticed the inconsistency of the people involved with this, whose social media posts have been deleted, who seem to confirm that some of the people involved knew it was a nod to Da Vinci, or was partly the imagery was borrowed from Da Vinci. Some people who are involved with it have expressed pride that there's been so many people upset, even outraged over this. Other people involved in the Olympics have apologized. But let's take Jolly, the man involved in planning this whole thing, the director, at his word and say that, okay, this was meant as a sign of tolerance and unity and inclusion. Let's take him at his word. It's an act of freedom. I think this is an act of freedom in the Jean-Paul Sartre sense, which I don't think is particularly a healthy thing. But let's just take him at his word. What I'm concerned people are missing, and I hope that the left and the right, Christian, secularist, Muslim, by the way, it is helpful to meet people who are not just like you. Being privileged to know people from Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, various parts of this continent from various perspectives, has broadened my own perspective. I do think that certain people in the United States and Europe sort of live in a secularist bubble, thinking that it's only right-wing Republicans or something like this in the country that disagree with their view. This is simply not the case. It does help to know that there are a lot of people in Africa and around the world that don't feel the way you feel if you're a millennial or Gen Z or a postmodernist liberal person. It's just not how the world works. One thing I hope we can all agree on, right off screen, right next to this man dressed in blue, and I use the word dressed very loosely, the man is virtually naked. And he's, of course, talking about this is, an ode to feasting and to French, eating, basically, feasting, gluttony, if you will. However, I feel that the people who've heard this, who are defending this against the right-wingers or the Christians or the whatever, I'd like to believe you haven't actually seen the clip itself. This man is singing about being naked, and maybe it was meant in jest, maybe it was meant as mockery. Those things I think are both probably true. Nevertheless, this man, his genitalia are barely covered, and he's singing about being naked. If only we could all be naked and go back to where it was, and he makes some very crude references about where you might put a revolver. And he goes on and on and on about being naked. And he's clearly being a bit sexual. Right off screen, feet from this man, is a child. And whatever you think about trying to be nice to people who dress in drag, whether you think they should be a protected people group, my own take is that I'm not a better person than you. I'm not claiming this. I mean, I know these people. I meet these people. I genuinely do my best to be kind. The world is complex. People are complex. Culture is increasingly fragmented. People see themselves differently. I try to teach my children to be kind to people who aren't like us. So if I see someone at the movie theater or the library. I think I should act in charity and kindness whenever I can. These are human beings, and I believe that God loves these people. And I'm no better than them. I don't see myself that way. So if you are on the ideological left, or however you see yourself, if you feel that these people should be protected or that we should be kind to these people, I think that is very often just the best of intentions. I genuinely believe that. However, in the idea, the spirit of protecting people, this man is virtually naked. He's singing about being naked, and he's expressing sexuality clearly. And just feet from him is a child. And that's actually my largest concern. How is it that so many people are upset about the mockery of Da Vinci, or this focal point of Christianity? Which I think, I certainly understand that concern. I really do. However, people on the ideological left, and it's not everyone, I think more people are upset about this than we might be led to believe, are saying, well, you sort of ignorant right-wingers, you ignorant Christians, you ignorant whoever doesn't agree with us, you don't know anything about art. I was recently, I think, called a Philistine. So, okay, whatever. Why are we not noticing that this very sexual presentation, and a man barely clothed at all, is doing this with children nearby? I do think this should be offensive. I don't think this should go unnoticed. I'm clearly not saying that everyone in the LGBTQ community would do this. I know people in this community who would never condone doing anything remotely like this in front of children. So please don't hear me saying this is everyone in that community. I'm not saying that. But this is what happened on that stage. So a visceral gut reaction, I think, to saying something isn't right here. I will maintain that people around the world, I think people especially around other parts of the world do see this, would say, this is immoral. You're not celebrating debauchery ironically. You seem to actually be celebrating debauchery. Let's not gray those moral lines. I would wager that most of you seeing this know children who are placed in situations they shouldn't be in. No, I'm not saying the man on the stage would do anything to that child. I'm not even implying that. My point is, this is still a virtually naked man singing about being naked, expressing his sexuality in front of a child feet from him, knowing children around the world are watching him. This is not a line society wants to cross. We can talk about that in detail, but those lines, those social guardrails are there for a reason. And I am convicted that those should stay there. So, setting aside whether or not you disagree about the imagery of the feasts, I hope that decent moral people can realize that that is not a place morally that we want to go, ever. I have friends who consider themselves LGBTQ who would agree with me on this. So I hope you see that this is something that's concerning, and I hope you agree. The world's a crazy place, but I hope you know that your life matters. Someone somewhere really does love you. The things that you do in this life really matter. So I hope you're taking care of yourself. Thanks for watching as always. God bless.